In 8 out of the 10 games this season, the Commanders' defense, which all of us thought was going to be a top 10 defense, they've allowed 350 yards or more in 8 out of 10 games. The only 2 games that they didn't do it, Arizona, and that was not with Kyler Murray. That was Arizona and New England. And 2 inept offenses.
And part of the reason that they're giving up so much yardage is just look at the chunk explosive plays that they give up on a weekly basis. This week it was the Kenneth Walker, little dump off pass. It should be a 5 or 8, maybe 10-yard pickup.
Looked like there was a holding on the play uncalled. A lot of people that are bitter at the refs will point to that.
64 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
You go back to last week, Ramondre rips off a long run for a touchdown. Devontae Smith had almost a 40-yarder in the game against the Eagles. Like they don't give up 5 or 10-yard touchdown plays. They give up 65-yarders, 45-yarders.
That's part of the story, but
that's a big part.
The larger part of the story is when you're giving up 28 points per game, it's tough to win in the league. You mentioned it right off the top. They are 29th in the league in terms of yards allowed, and they're 31st in points allowed. So going through the defense, these are the guys that JP would keep for the next regime. Payne and Allen, they're getting paid a ton.
Yep.
I don't know how good of a year either of them are having. It seems like Payne is making more plays. Allen made some plays yesterday. We'll talk to Jonathan Allen at 9 o'clock today. But it's hard to give them too much credit when your defense stinks overall, but you bring those guys back. Jamin Davis is making some plays. I think St. Juste overall, like if you look at Pro Football Focus, they rate him high. You drafted Forbes. You'd like to sign Cam Curl, so that's 6 guys. 6 guys that I would definitely keep. They need help at defensive end because they've traded away their 2 defensive ends. They need help at linebacker, and I guess they probably still need help in the secondary. Although they drafted Quan and they drafted Forbes,
You're holding over a lot of guys on a bad defense.
How many would you hold over?
I mean, if I come in and I'm the new GM, I'm going to call everybody about every player on the team. Because why am I keeping a bunch of players for a defense that's 30th best in the league?
Well, because maybe
and allowing nearly 30 points per game.
Maybe the weak spots, like linebackers, are getting exposed.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it not necessarily yesterday, but we've seen it throughout the season that there have been matchups that get exposed in certain games.
I'm sure I would keep Payne and Allen. I would keep Jamin Davis. I guess I want to re-sign Cam Curl because he's a good young safety. But everybody else is
You're not a St. Juste
up
guy?
for grabs.
I like St. Juste. I want to.
I think St. Juste is.
I think he's kind of overrated.
I agree with JP. I like your list. Anybody else? I think Fuller's played well this year too, for the most part. I think you just need to be coached better, be more aggressive. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a coaching situation because I agree with you. There were a couple times when they brought pressure to Geno and they forced him into incompletions.
He's kind of risk averse. He just likes to keep him from. And to be honest with you, it was kind of working for a lot of the game. Like we were just giving up field goals. Now a lot of it's self-inflicted.
There was a lot of bend don't break.
A lot of bend don't break, but a lot of self-inflicted stuff. Like I don't know what Seattle was doing and wasting timeouts and I don't know what delay a game stuff. We were getting lucky and just holding them to field goals. Then what happened at the half? They're just leaving points on the field.
I mean, if they've already given up on both of their top pass rushers, I just feel like anything could be on the table during the offseason, especially with the new GM coming in.
Well, it's fine. I'm not going to cry if you trade any of those guys, but I think that they're worth keeping.
They're guys to work with. Look, football is the ultimate team game. There are a ton of guys out there, right? So you can have a terrible defense and still have, 5 or 6 players that are really good on the defense.
Yeah. And
I think teams, for the most part, not necessarily yesterday, they've exposed the linebackers throughout the season in coverage. And then the big plays, all right, Ramondre Stevenson was a run, and I remember them bringing this up on the broadcast. I don't know what a cross dog really is, but they said Jamin Davis botched a cross dog and was supposed to be back.
Well, also had a huge missed tackle. I think it was by Butler.
Yeah.
I think Danny Johnson slipped. I mean, it was just a disaster. It was just a disaster.
And you would hope that the young guys who they drafted, Forbes and Quan Martin, who's made a couple plays the last couple weeks, like he wasn't even playing before that, so maybe I'm crediting him for basic plays just because I happen to see him on the field. He wasn't on the field before. But you would hope that those guys are part of the future. So I think there are guys we're saving other than Jack Del Rio. Because, again, I'm a record guy, and it's just horrendous right now.
Yeah, it just hasn't been good enough.
8 out of 10 games, they've given up 350 yards or more. And the 2 games when they didn't is inept offenses.
Yeah. That was when Josh Dobbs was just starting with the Cardinals, right? That was that was the opener. That was week 1.
It turns out he's pretty decent.
He's pretty good.
He's going to be making a lot of money next year somewhere.
Yeah, he's earning himself a big fat raise.
Let's go to Vic. Accokeek. Vic, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys?
Hey, Vic.
Hey, man.
No, I know it's been a while. I was telling Travis it's been 10 years. But I'm going to get right to it, right? So, you just said it. There's no accountability. There's no fundamental discipline on this defense. Deron Payne is playing bad. Jonathan Allen is playing bad. They have no gap integrity. They look like Albert Haynesworth out there. They pick the gaps they want to go to. They run to the gaps to try to go get tackles instead of supporting the linebackers so the linebackers can scrape up and make plays. And that big run versus the Patriots last week, Deron Payne jumped out his gap. He got pushed out his gap because he was trying to cheat over to the C gap instead of staying in the B gap, and they would have squeezed the running back to have to run right into David Mayo or Jamin Davis. On the linebackers, which is from the secondary, we don't play with eyes. Y'all laughed at me 10 years ago for this. And the analysts say every week, if Jamin Davis does not look at that receiver coming out the backfield, go to the right and take that jab step to the left, he would have sank back deep enough to pick that pass off that quarterback threw yesterday for the Seahawks.
So, Vic, moving forward, who would you keep on the defense? And then to address kind of the larger question, in terms of big picture, are you more optimistic about the Commanders' future or pessimistic?
If Jack Del Rio is still here, I don't even want to watch the games. I'll do something else for that time.
Got you.
I would trade. I'm trading Deron Payne. We should have never paid Deron Payne. I'm a football coach. I know what I'm looking at. Deron Payne he's very athletic and he's strong, but he's lazy and he takes plays off. Jonathan Allen is not as gifted as him, but he's going to do what he's supposed to do, and he's more coachable. I'm keeping Cam Curl. I'm keeping Jamin Davis. And everybody else, I'm talking on the phone. I'm getting on the phone. I'm talking about draft picks for. And y'all have a good day.
I think that's fair based on where they are. I think I'm a little higher on some of the guys in terms of talent, but yeah, I mean that's a great unknown. Let's say they don't give the job to Bieniemy, they give the job to Ben Johnson or the guy in Houston, or they find somebody else. Most guys like to clear house and bring in their own players. Now, you can't completely clear house because contracts and things like that, but...
No, I think a lot of these guys would be gone, but I do think that the 5 or 6 that you mentioned will be here.
You can be optimistic, though, too. Like I said, you got salary cap space and you have extra draft picks because you traded Montez Sweat and Chase Young for draft picks, so...
Yeah. Well, and they have the dream scenario, it looks like, a quarterback on a rookie contract. A fifth-round contract.
And you don't want to waste that and let that go by the wayside while you have a defense that's allowing 30 points per game.
But by the same token, we need to upgrade the offensive line via free agency and the draft. So, I mean, there are a lot of issues.
We're getting dangerously close to mock draft season. We're teetering. We're right on the brink at this point.
All right, let's go to Larry. Larry, what's up?
Yeah, hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah,
what's
Larry?
up, buddy?
Hey, man, so what I want to say is Bieniemy, yeah, his offense is okay. Bickle, I agree with you. It's just not impressing me, man. The run game is so vanilla. It looks like Pop Warner out there. I mean, shotgun, handoff. It doesn't work. Can we not line Howell up under center at times and do some bootlegs?
He doesn't like running the ball, in case you haven't noticed.
But at some point, you do have to run the ball to slow down that defensive line. You wonder why every time Howell drops back, he's got pressure. Well, they know what we're doing. We don't hand the ball off, and there's no run game scheme at all. It's very frustrating to watch. You know, we had four series there where we're punt, 3 and out. That kills your defense. Your defense is staying on the field. Mix it up a little bit, man. Do some running. Help your offensive line out. Help your defense out. You can't drop back 60 times a game every game. I mean, at some point, you got to learn how to run the ball and scheme it up a little bit better.
All
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, Larry.
I
Appreciate it.
love these armchair offensive coordinator consultants who think they can call a better game than Eric Bieniemy.
I'll tell you
man.
this. Eric Bieniemy leads the league in play sheets.
He does.
It's amazing to me. He's got like 3 or 4.
I don't notice any of that stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter, but just, most guys have their one card. They might, like at halftime add something. He's got like the one big card. He's got like a paper behind that. He's got another card.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Dave in Reston. Dave, what's up? You're on with the Junks.
Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, in talking about the overall yardage, I think it's kind of like an unfair thing to say when a team gives up like 350 yards for a particular game. The rules have changed. Everything is so oriented to the offense. Like,
But what about the ranking? They're 31st in points per game out of 32 teams, and they're 29th in yardage out of 32 teams.
I would say the yardage is definitely more alarming, but yeah.
They're both alarming.
The one person I would definitely keep would be Curl above anyone else. Everyone else could be axed.
He's the one who actually can bounce, right? He's going to be a free agent.
Well, he's going to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to get paid.
Somebody's going to pay him. But he's so good, I think that they'll show him some love.
Butler made a good play yesterday. I don't know how he grades out overall.
Well, he also missed the tackle on the big touchdown. So, I mean, I know they like him, but I just think, honestly, at this point, the players are who they are. We just needed more aggressive play calling. We need to be a little riskier on defense.
The weird part is that defense, and I do think a lot of it was dependent on who they played. It finished top 5 in yardage last year and top 10 in points allowed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Mostly the same guys, EB.
Something has gone awry with the defense. I can't figure out exactly what it is, and Jack can't figure it out either. And that's the guy that needs to figure it out.
It was Payne, Allen, Jamin Davis, all the key players.
Well,
they were there last year.
We can all admit this, and I was fine with moving them. There's no question the pass rush has not been there in the last 2 weeks.
Correct.
I mean,
Definitely hamstringed you.
is hurting them.
They ended up with 1 sack yesterday, and then you could make an argument that they had 1 sack last week, KJ Henry, and it got taken away.
Same thing. We had one here, right, on a penalty that was taken away.
Yeah.
I think Jones maybe
Yeah.
had a sack that was taken away, but because of penalty. But still, overall, I thought that they would bring extra guys to
They
compensate.
did at times.
But they didn't. They're not doing it enough, in my opinion.
In Jack's defense, he brought extra guys on the blitz during the final drive, and that's when Gino hit DK for a slant that was basically the drive starter.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's true. They picked us apart. But also, we were in zone a lot, and they were just I don't know. The guys were finding the creases.
I think
in the
was
zone.
it. I think it was the 3rd and short. Basically, after they had 2 dump offs, it was the 3rd and short. Jack decided to bring pressure, and then they blocked it well. Found DK for like a 20-yard slant, called timeout, and then they hit another big one after that.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to.
It seems like Jack's trying to push the buttons, but every decision he's making, the button he pushes it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's personnel or if it's poor timing or if it's not exotic enough. I don't know the answer to
Probably
that.
all of those things.
Yeah, combination.
Let's go to Dennis, Glen Burnie. Dennis, what's up? You're on with the Junks.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Hey,
Sorry,
Dennis.
I got a cold.
Yeah.
Hey,
good.
listen, the problem is they have the middle of the field is always wide open. Jamin Davis was standing next to a guy one time. He doesn't have that quick step to get to it to break the pass up. They have no linebackers. And their coach, he could make all the moves he wants to make, but they're just not fast enough to get in. I'd keep all their front and their back. They need defensive ends, but their linebackers are terrible. I mean,
All right,
they're
so you
just
go
slow.
defensive end and linebacker. I think that's fair.
Well, I think part of the linebacker issue is they've de-emphasized the position because of the pass-heavy nature
They
of the
have,
league.
but you still see Mayo out there for a ton of plays, chasing guys. You see Jamin's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they still have to play him. Let's go to Sims. Sims, what's up? You're on with the Junks.
Good morning, Junk. Good morning, Junk.
Hello.
Junk. I mean, I love you guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks,
Hey,
sir.
hey, real quick. Listen, Jack Del Rio needs to go. I would get rid of everybody in the back except for Carl. And I don't know why Mayo's out there so many plays.
Well, he's
I
out
mean,
there
it's
because
just-
of injury.
Yes, but they shouldn't have gotten rid of the boy from NC State, the inside linebacker. Holcomb.
Yeah.
That was the craziest thing. Man, it's Ron Rivera. It's just that simple, man. It's Ron Rivera. It all starts up top with him. He didn't build the offensive line. He didn't do anything on the defense to make him aggressive. And then Jack Del Rio, he doesn't do any stunts. He doesn't do any blitz. The defensive linemen are so undisciplined. It's like they don't practice during the week.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I know they practice, but I do agree with you on like the stunts and that kind of stuff. That was something I always wanted to see more of when Chase and Montez were here. Move those guys around, make them more unpredictable. You know,
It's not his
I will
thing.
say this. I know EB. So he walked in today kind of just, hangdog look. He's kind of down. Yeah, they found their quarterback, but it's just the same. It's never going to change.
Well, I was
But the
hoping
one thing that gave
could go
him a
on a
little
run.
glee was the possibility of Ron and Jack being fired.
Well, that would
like
be
today,
exciting. That would be
it would be exciting. And that's, look, the surprising thing is more people are optimistic about the Commanders. And maybe it's a big picture thing that there's no more Snyder, that Josh Harris can hire somebody new. Rivera is eventually going to be gone, which Cakes points out, nail in the coffin. And I would say I want it sooner rather than later. Are you optimistic about the future? 800-636-1067 as we talk Commanders.
I think the reason why I'm depressed is because it truly put the nail in the coffin of any chance to have any meaning to the season. So that's why I'm depressed. I've known for 6 weeks that Sam Howell, in my opinion, is the guy.
Yeah.
So that's great.
He keeps proving it.
That's great. But I was hoping that we could go on a little run here. Win this game, win against the Giants, and then,
I guess
and try to get lucky.
against any team with even a capable offense, Sam Howell is tasked with scoring 35 points to help win the game. You have to go out and score 35, Sam, because the defense is cratered to such a point they're allowing nearly 30 points per game. So we understand you have less than 12 starts in your NFL career, but we need you to lead us to 35 points per game. Is basically the position he's in most weeks against good teams with good offenses.
It does seem like a season. There were a lot of people. Like I picked them to go 7-10. I think Cakes picked them to go 17. But there were a lot of people who thought that this season was going to be an improvement upon last year, where they were 8-1, and that they would be a playoff team, in particular in a weak NFC. I mean, right now the Vikings. Now they got a win yesterday. They're 6-4. The Vikings would be in the playoffs as the last team in the NFC.
Yep.
And they don't have Kirk Cousins, so.
Well,
Potentially like 9 wins could get you in the playoffs in the NFC. The problem is at 4-6, you'd have to go 5-2 in the last 7 games to go 9-8
Against a murderer's row.
Yeah.
which we're
against
not
a
gonna
really
get.
tough
play the
schedule.
Cowboys twice,
Here's
play
the
the
thing.
Dolphins.
I maintain my logic was impeccable. We had better quarterback play. We have the same defense, only better. We improved it with what we did in the draft and everything. So we should have a top 10 defense, which we don't. And we have better quarterback play. We're going to have better offense. So, of course, we're going to be better.
Well, that's also part of the
That
problem.
was my logic. I stand by it.
It's a tougher schedule, though.
Ron is
Tougher
running.
schedule.
Ron is running the draft room, at least in name only. Like he's the boss. Everything stops with him. Ron is the guy that okayed drafting 2 corners with the first 2 picks, and the defense has gotten worse with those guys on the field. It's gotten a lot worse with them on the field.
Defense getting worse
I
kind of
didn't
just
see
makes
it.
me feel like last year was a mirage. And we
Maybe.
talked about this last year, that they got lucky in their schedule. We'd have to go through it game by game, but where they ended up facing backup quarterbacks at times, like they were facing teams at the right time. It's kind of like, look, they could lose to Tommy DeVito and the Giants. You're right, Drab. But when you face teams like that are onto their 3rd string quarterback, you should have a good defensive performance. And I felt like last year they had that happen a lot. And this year they're facing a
exactly here's what
tougher
will
team.
happen. They'll have a bounce back at home against Tommy DeVito and the Giants, and the optimism will be high. And then they'll go in and get smacked by the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
I don't think there'll be great optimism just by beating the Giants.
There'll be a little bit.
I think that ship is sailed.
Because everybody knows, look, you're playing.
They would have to
third-string
pull off a
quarterback.
big upset. They would have to pull off a big
wanna
upset.
get
Like if they beat the Giants, that's expected. If they pulled off an upset on Thanksgiving, then people would get optimistic again and grasp.
No, if they want to get the fans optimistic, fire the staff today.
That too.
Fire Ron, fire Jack. You want to promote Bieniemy because that's the sexy thing. Go ahead.
I've said it the last several weeks. I'm not a wait until the bye guy.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you have to wait until the bye? Raiders didn't.
No, you don't
And
have
the Raiders
to.
didn't just fire their head coach. They fired a coordinator and they fired their GM, EB.
And they did it well. I think those guys had like $75 million basically coming to them.
They said
Like,
GM
didn't
bye-bye,
care.
head coach bye-bye, coordinator bye-bye.
Now, they're also led by a crazy owner.
Maybe.
Off the Al Davis tree. Okay,
Yeah.
Mark Davis is a wackadoo, so he doesn't care. I think Josh Harris is obviously more measured than a guy like Mark Davis. I'm still dumb enough to think that he's going to keep Ron through the end of the season.
Well, I just don't have any expectation or any reason to believe that Josh Harris is anything special. What I do believe is he's not Dan Snyder. So I think he's average, but I don't think he's this walk on water. He's going to only make good decisions. I have
agree
no
with that.
idea what he's going to do. No idea.
It's not like he's delivering championships to the Sixers or the Devils.
Yeah. So I don't know that he has great decision-making or bad decision. I have no idea. I just know he's not Dan, and that's good.
Yeah.
But I think people just assume he's going to make the right decision all the time. Why?
No, remains to be seen. I do like what he did the trade deadline, moving on from Montez Sweat and Chase
If
Young.
those guys are not in your future
And you
plans,
do need pass rush, but you got draft picks, and those guys are going to demand a lot of money. And hey, theoretically, you could sign Chase Young in the offseason.
I don't think that's
Chase
happening.
played pretty well. Jason
did okay.
texted me during the game.
He had a nice jump on the pile, though, too. I just tweeted that out just for people to see that. I can't remember who had the sack. It was like Armstead or something. And then Bosa actually jumped on the pile, too. And then I think Chase was the third guy. Jumped on the pile. But he ended up getting a half
By
sack
the way,
with Nick
did
Bosa later.
Did that get flagged like KJ Henry's
No.
hit got flagged? Okay, terrible NFL officiating.
Maybe at a lobster roll or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're supposed to go into.
All right, let's go to Adam. Adam, what's up?
What's up, you guys?
Hey,
It's
Adam.
me?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, guys. This is just a great day. I know we lost. I know. But I've been here before. You guys have been here before, man. I'm 40. I've seen this game, and all we knew this year was that it's not a championship window, so all we have to do is find out, do we have a quarterback? We found that out. Question answered. We got him. Now we know, Jack's got to go. Ron's going to go. It's EB's team, so let's just make those moves. I'm with you guys. Don't wait till the bye. Get that crap out of here. We know we got a quarterback. Let's just spend the rest of the season figuring out what our holes are. We sent Chase Young out of here. He can go party with Bryce Harper somewhere. We don't want you. Get out of here. Go do your thing. We'll figure out the holes and we'll see what we got, man. I feel good about it.
Why do you think Bieniemy should get the gig?
Well, I don't want to talk about my fantasy team. I have Sam Howell as a quarterback, and just watching the way that they play him,
Fantasy
dude,
driven.
he's just an offensive guy, and he's doing with us what he did with Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. I feel good that we can score with anybody. Just give me some sort of defense.
Right. You understand that when we lost to the Giants, would we score 7 points?
7 points. Yeah.
We just scored 7 points against the Giants.
And they only scored 3 against the Bears. He's
Right.
had a couple duds in there.
Right.
Well, he did get he did
Wind.
let Howell
Wind.
get
I
sacked
blame-
a million times.
Blame
against
wind.
the Giants.
Blaming wind.
You're blaming wind in
Yeah.
the Giants game?
How's not a wind thrower.
He's not a wind guy?
Not a wind guy. His
Well,
spiral
most quarterbacks aren't. If it's like 20 miles an hour
spiral's not good enough to slice and dice through the wind. No, I'm being dead serious.
I know
If
you are, but I don't know if I buy it, though.
How did Peyton
You guys feel
Manning
better
pull it off
watching-
without his tight
Yeah.
spiral?
Yeah. What,
He
Adam?
did play in the dome a lot.
I'm sorry. Do you guys feel better watching him throw than Kirk Cousins? God, I do.
Why? What does it matter? Why are you killing Kirk Cousins? What does it matter at this
I
point?
think both guys
That's like
are pretty
4
good.
quarterbacks ago.
I think both guys are pretty good. Let's go to Robert in Annapolis. Robert, what's up, buddy? You're on with the Junks.
All right, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd say that the Commanders' on-field performance And record is more of a reflection of its talent or lack thereof rather than the coaching, as bad as the coaching has been. Rivera's real downfall has been his player acquisition over 4 years. His drafts and free agent signings have virtually all been failures. Now, he does have a shining star maybe in Sam Howell, but he was really picked as an afterthought. It's not like they said, hey, this guy could be the guy.
Yeah, he
That's
luck
true.
boxed
No,
into
you're
him.
right. That's true.
So,
for sure.
so they do not have one star player, either on offense and defense. They have a couple of good players, but they were actually in place before Rivera took over. So I would agree that there's pointless to keep Rivera in the position. However, normally I only feel coaches should be let go when they lose the locker room, like Josh McDaniels. I mean, he had lost the locker room, so you have to get him out of there.
Yeah.
So I don't know that changing coaches is going to really make a difference going forward.
Oh, it'll make no difference, but it will just get the fans excited.
Yes, yeah, but there's a point to that. You know, you got to keep the fans excited and interested. But anyhow, Valdez and I are having our own misery Monday, so we got our own problem to deal with.
Yeah, it was a tough one for the Ravens.